mark my words, if they start doing this stuff to people on benefits, it's not long before they come for working people. So my benefits have been stopped again. So back in June last year, I came up for one of these universal credit reviews. Whenever I've sent in statements to the Universal Credit or any other government agency for that matter, I've always sent redacted statements. I've only ever shown my income because, I mean, surely that's what's relevant. And I was told that the review was to make sure that I'm receiving the right amount of money. But they know what my income is. You know, they're the ones that pay it to me. Or they certainly have been for the last couple of years. Just to clarify, I've been on Universal Credit for over a decade now, since my twins were really young. And I've always worked. Started off nearly full-time and then dropped to part-time. And I was doing part-time hours up until probably about 2 years ago, when life took a turn, shall we say. Things got really hard. I've been homeless for a while. I haven't worked since then. Anyway, so that was back in June last year. I questioned why it was that they weren't accepting the redacted statements, and they basically said to me that if I don't send them through, that they will stop my money. And I questioned at the time, so surely that would only be my money that you'd stop. Surely you wouldn't stop the children's money or the money that pays towards the housing benefit, you know, because it's now all paid together. It's all paid via the same single payment. And they informed me that no, they would stop the whole payment. The whole payment would be stopped, the children's money included. And I said, oh, okay, isn't that a human rights violation? So I put in a complaint and challenged it, and looked into a few other laws and legislation and stuff as well. And I also noticed that it breached GDPR law, data protection, among many other laws and legislations. I put in a complaint. They did initially put a stop on my payment, and then I spoke to a manager called Jean-Claude. He basically said that he would take the block off, but he said basically that if I didn't send in the unredacted bank statements, 4 months unredacted bank statements, that they would put it back on again. And then I did speak to another woman, and I basically asked to see the legislation that supported what they were doing, and she said that she would find it for me and come back. That never happened. I chased it several times. Nobody came back to me, and nothing else happened. I continued to get payments. Everything just went quiet. It didn't matter how much I chased it. I never got any response, no acknowledgement, no nothing. And then literally, probably about a month ago now, I just had this note pop up on my journal one day out of nowhere. Hi, this is James. I'm taking over your review. And I was like, what? And they'd sent another lot of to-dos, and they'd also added on this one that they wanted me to take a photograph of me holding my ID next to my face. And I was like, absolutely fucking not. So again, I've said to him, you know, about the complaint from before. I've also sent the complaint again, and asked to see this so-called legislation. And I did get a response, and it had a link on it. And when you click on the link, it takes you to the page where you search legislation. And when I've queried it, or every time that I've queried it, they just keep saying, yeah, we've sent you the link. Look, it was sent on the 12th of May, blah, 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 blah. And I say to them, I respond every time and say, the link doesn't work. I mean, the link works, but it doesn't take you to any specific legislation. It takes you to the page to search legislation. And then at that point, they stop responding. So anyway, they've stopped my payment again. I would have been due to get paid on the 20th of this month. I'm still fighting it, obviously, because it's unlawful. These laws are completely unlawful. These reviews are completely unlawful. And I've said to them before, you know, if my spouse or my partner was doing this to me, was threatening me, was trying to coerce me, control me coercively, that would be a police matter. But for some reason, when people are acting on behalf of the government, it's not a problem. I'm sick and tired of this draconian system that is basically designed to keep people down and put them in a place of complete desperation and then basically take advantage of them. It's abusive and it's wrong. They are going after the most vulnerable people in society, while the MPs get fat off of public money and nobody bats an eyelid about it. Nobody's got anything to say about the amount of money that MPs take in, like their expenses, and about the subsidies that they get for the food when they're in Parliament and things like that. Nobody's got fuck all to say about that. But they'll cry about immigrants, or they'll cry about people on disabilities getting a tiny pittance of help. It infuriates me. What's that song? If we tolerate this, then our children will be next. Mark my words, if they start doing this stuff to people on benefits, it's not long before they come for working people. Mark my words. This is 1930s Germany to a T. They go after the people with nothing, and then slowly they spread it out to everybody else. How many of you are working all the hours that God sends and you still can't provide for your family? You're still, the slightest thing could send you into financial oblivion. How many of you are behind on your rent? How many of you are behind on your mortgages? I haven't heard a single story about any politicians struggling, have you? So enough. I'm still not going to be sending my bank statements to them. I'm not. I don't care. I've lost my fear. I've got nothing else left to lose at this point. I'm going to do something else instead. I'm fighting back for myself and for my children and for their children. Because if we continue to let them do this to us, it's going to be worse for the next generations. Ain't no white horse, knight on a white horse coming to save you. We, the people, have to save ourselves.